So I'm back. I just got up my bed not long time ago. The sun have not shined like this like 100 days, so that's very nice to have some daylight. The last many weeks have been long dark grey days. So I like to try today to make some video about the early jet airliners, the jet airliners. But I start to getting old and tired, so I need to take some short breaks. Sometimes I just have to close the camcorder just to get a break, like 10 minutes. If I need a restroom or need something to food or drink. I need some water. So I need to get some breaks, like 10 or 15 minutes. I just get a break from talking and then just laying in my bed, relax 10, 20 minutes. But not now, because I just got up. But this is a big subject. There's many old airlines. We have to look. At the old pigeons, passengers, airplane, and we have to look at the old early jet engines. Because we have to understand what was flying in the 1950s. We have a lot of big pigeon propel engines, passengers aircraft like DC-6. The Lockheed Constellation was still flying in the whole 1950s. And in the 60s we were still flying this big Lockheed Constellation with 4 very large engine, and the Boeing 377 Strato cruiser. I have all this open now, but I need some time to do this. Now I need to eat this. Now I need a plate. Oh, I was to drop it on my floor. Need to put it like here. It's 11 a.m. soon. But in the Second World War was around 1940 to 45. They built this very large metal bombing aircraft with 4 engines. And I think some have pressure cabin. I think this B-29 have a pressure cabin. This have this like advanced airliner with pressure cabin. I just need to add some jet engines. But I did not think about to do that before a little bit later. They make like this one, the B-52, that did that in the 55. In the year 1955 they could build a large bomber, but they built it not for passengers, but they built it to drop nuclear bombs. It's made to drop nuclear bombs in the 1950s. Large nuclear bombs. We have this Cold War. We have this Cold War, United States and Russia. So they spent a lot of money to develop more powerful jet engines. You can see they need to add like 8 engines. This jet engines, they were not so powerful in the early 50s. So they have to add like 8 engines like this. And this is why they made the Boeing 7. With Boeing 707 they made a few years later, but it's not supposed to be here. I have it open somewhere else. So let's close it down again. So that's flying the 1930s, before the World War II. They could build big metal airplane like this. And they end up the World War II, but they have many different kind of big airplanes. Let's close this bombing. I have but because this DC-3 they use for passengers, they made it before the World War II. Actually, that's Scandinavia Airlines from my country, Denmark, Sweden and Norway. They use it for passengers. This one flying, yes, up to the 60s, but that's only 2 engines. They have some bigger, like the DC-4. But they did not make like 80 of this. And they got the most famous probably is the DC-6. So they were still flying. You can see this is the year 1956. In 1956 we have this de Havilland Comet. I don't the de Havilland Comet maybe in the version 4. So in the old airport in the 1950s we had a mix of this big kind of propelled piston engine aircraft and the first generation of the jet airliners like the de Havilland Comet and the Caravelle and the Boeing 707 and the Boeing 720 and DC-8. So that's a DC-6 that built all the way up to the 58. And then all this, so this is 60, that's 65, and I'm born in 66, so all when I was a baby, when I was a small boy, baby, they're still flying in the 1960s. But very early, this is 66, that's the year I'm born actually. I'm born in 1966 November. So they're still using this in 66, and in 66 you have the de Havilland Comet, you have the Caravelle, you have the Boeing 707, you have the DC-8, and actually you have the DC-9, the McDonnell, the DC-9 got out in 65, and you have the Boeing 720, and you have this Donald's. I cannot remember the name. The MD-80s. The MD-80 got out in the 60s, but you have the DC-9. So very in the late 60s, I think they stopped flying all this in Europe. But I think they continue flying in the 70s in like Africa and South America. They sold it, and Asia. I think that it used this kind of aircraft all the way in the 1970s in poor countries like in Africa, South America. Central America that it used for passengers and cargo, I think. But then the engines that start to break down. Then that did stop to use it. So they have this kind of aircraft like the DC-6 and the DC-7, made by Douglas Aircraft Company. We have to read about this soon. I have this super large engines. I have the engine open here. I have this Pratt & Whitney R2800 double. They have this super large piston engines, super large powerful engines. They built all the way to 1960. They built 125,000 engines. So they built a super large number of engines. This being on the DC-6, Grumman Hellcat, that's a fighter jet. Medium bomber. Let's look this. This one could transport many soldiers. They could rebuild. I don't know this one, but we don't have too much open. This is from year 1941. We can put it here. And this Hellcat, let's open this because we need to read about this fighter jets in World War II, like the Mustang and Hellcat and all this name. I don't remember all the names. They have a lot of aircraft in the World War II. So then they have this all kind of propeller aircraft like this. This is a French one. I never see this before. It's a French built in around 1950. And they have this famous all this propeller. So in the airport in the 1950s and the early 60s, they were still flying this big propeller aircrafts. 450, and this very famous Convair. No, the famous this one, Boeing 377 Stratocruiser with a pressure cabin. But that's nobody. They have scrapped everything. They did scrap it everything. That was Warp's Major. But I have to let me look. And then this famous Constellation and the Super Constellation. They have this super large aircraft. They're still flying. But I have the engine. No, that's another engine there. So we have to look. That's engine called Wright Duplex Cyclone. They use this. That's not same engine as this Boeing Stratocruiser. Let's open this engine. We have to look at this later. I have to make some video about this super large piston engines from this big passengers. The Boeing 737. And on the Super Fortress. Oh, look at that. That's big one. Wow, that's really big one. Big propeller. Look at that. That's six super large propeller engine. I think they built it to nuclear bombs in the 46, 48. 300, that must be before this Boeing B-52. It's a big long-range bomber used for nuclear bombs. We can read this too later. So they already have all these super large aircraft, so that was not so difficult to start build this jet airliners. They just need some good jet engines. But we have this Lockheed Constellation was built 800, more than 800. They built it to 58. And they are still flying, because many like to own a big aircraft like this, so they're not scrapping this. They're not scrapping this to a metal, because many like to own big goals. That's a flying club office. No, many like to own a big metal aircraft like this one. So they're not put in the garbage. That's in Munich in Germany. Munich in South Germany on display. So that's the world back then. Then you have a Super Constellation. It's built to 58. So they stopped production, because then you all this the passengers that did like to have this jet engine, because there was more quiet. This make a lot of noise. This big engine blade make a shaking a lot and make a lot of noise. And this jet engine was a faster cruise and more quiet. So that's how the world did look. That's airport, Heathrow Airport in 1954. This kind of large piston aircraft was still flying. That's in 60 London Gatwick, 64, 1964. I was still, born 2 years after. Now I need to eat my food. And they have these super large engines, but there were a lot of maintenance. I think that cost a lot of money to repair it. And in the 40s they have this this famous flying boats. But they only built like 7. They have this kind of flying boats in the 40s. Before World War II, they have this flying boat. But they're still flying. Actually, there's one for sale, $5 million. This Colson flying tankers in Canada. They're selling one of these $5 million. Maybe this Hawaii Mart, that's for sale, but that's not only with that's a water pumper. They have no seats, but you can buy this today. This one you can buy $5 million. This one of the last flying, but it's looking like this. Inside there's a water pumper, but you could rebuild it and put seats, but that would cost a lot of millions. So one of this is for sale. You can buy it today if you have $5 million. So, but that's one of the last, this Colson flying tankers in Canada, I think. This one you can buy $5 million today. So they have this big flying boat too in the 1940s. But let's close it. But we can keep it open. I like to read about it again. Got the Lockheed Electra, so we have aircraft like this flying in the airports in the 1950s and 60s. They built it to 61. So that's 83. They have built it to a Vancouver in Canada. 83, almost a teenager. They use it as old cargo. That's in the 1970s. I was 4 years old, so they were still flying in the 60s and 70s. That's 1970, and the Airbus A300 got out in 71. Here we have World War One, and in the World War One, I think we have called aircraft in the World War One. Let's try and find it. Now, in the World War One, they did develop a lot of different kind of aircraft and bombers and aircraft engines. Let's list of aviation in World War One. List of aircraft World War Two. List of jet aircraft World War Two. That's some I could use. So how much? That's we need. There's a lot of good links, but we need to move it. Got the World War II here. So that's aircraft in World War One. I need this to find all this many aircraft. So World War One that did develop, but that's in the early aviation. I have to move this. I have to get the keyboard away. It's just falling on my floor. I need water. I need more water. And I need a break. Sometimes I just need a break like 10 or 20 minutes just to relax and charging my camcorder. Because I start to get old. So maybe we could do now just take a break, a few minutes. Take a break, 5-10 minutes. So let's do that. Just take a small break, a few minutes, then I will continue.